songster, and I'm a senior here at Tech High. I'm also an artist, a scientist, and I'm on the wrestling team.
I'm Aiden McEwen. I'm also a senior. I am the president of NHS, hoping to join the swim team this year. So.
And now we're gonna go outside and talk about our school. Well, I chose Technology High School because I came from a really large public middle school, and it was really hard, you know, like I got tossed up in the shuffle a lot and I felt kind of ignored a lot of the time, and it was actually in 7th grade when I decided I wanted to go to Tech High. It's technology based and it's a lot of like community building within the products and this project groups and the smaller groups that you have to work with.
I've always, you know, kind of flourished in small school environments. I came from a charter school. I went to Montessori school from kindergarten through 6th grade. The biggest part about Technology High School, I think, in classroom instruction is the kind of small class size and being able to kind of move as a group with everyone. You really get to know all of your classmates and your teachers really well, and that only, you know, serves to help the project-based curriculum. Like when you work as a team and you're put into all these project situations where, you know, you may not be with people that you necessarily have got to know very well or even really agree with, but you know, you're put in these project situations where you have to kind of work through that.
Your teachers really know what they're teaching you. Like, they do chalk talks where they know exactly what they're going to say and they just write stuff on the board and you take notes, and that's really how you have to learn. Like in math and stuff, there are textbooks, but you don't learn directly from the textbook. You use it as an aid versus as the focus of the whole curriculum.
Yeah, it really helps with putting the learning in perspective.
It's either individual projects or big group projects, and it's usually like 2 to 3 people. That's usually the group size, I think.
Maybe not huge group projects, but definitely a lot of the time is spent in groups. I know that we have, this year we have our senior project, and that's basically all year round. You're with the same 5 people and you're working to, you know, develop a project. So
we got into these little groups and you had to come up with a theme, and with the theme you had to come up with a whole course for a dinner or lunch or a breakfast. And that whole course, everything had to be related to the theme. You had to figure out the calories, the protein, the carbohydrates for every dish. Then you had to make it and bring it into school. And you dressed up to the theme and you had to sell it to people. You had judges come in, we had judges come in and they had, like, critiqued us, and it was really cool, like practical application of learning about food and staying healthy.
We had to think of an activity that would burn off the calories. So, you know, you could go silly with it. Like a couple people did playing Game Boy, and they just did the amount of calories, you know, it takes to move your thumbs around.
And then, how long you'd have to do that for to burn all the calories of this specific dish if you had a serving or two.
So,
how much time we spend on projects, we usually have like long-term projects going on and then short-term projects that are like due by the end of the week or by like the next 2 days, and then the longer terms, which you have a month or 2 to complete it. Ooh, integrated science and engineering. It was a new concept when I heard about it back in middle school. I was definitely not completely prepared, but it's gonna sound kind of weird, but it really reminds me of how we learned about science in like elementary school, where your teacher has a whole bunch of different blocks of like 2 weeks of learning about earth science, and then 2 weeks about learning about electricity, and then 2 weeks of chemistry and stuff. And it's really nice here at Tech High because like they build off of everything every year. So you start off learning about like earth science freshman year, and then it pops up again later on, and you're like, oh, I remember learning about that. And so versus like losing all of your knowledge that you learned over the school year over the summer, you kind of have to work backwards and like draw on what you already learned.
The engineering aspect is integrated into the science, and it really helps you kind of drive home what you're learning in science. Like when we were doing physics, I'm really not a physics person. I really don't like physics at all. But we were doing the catapult project, the trebuchet, and I remember, you know, you get really into these projects because they make it not a competition, but almost, you know, like, you get a higher grade the farther your trebuchet launches, and everybody wants to, you know, be the farthest trebuchet. So you really, you know, you try to get into the learning, and you know, I learned a lot during that project time, more than I think did in class, just because I would review my class notes and maybe things that I didn't understand. I made more of an effort to understand them so that I could create a better engineering project.
And I'm personally a visual learner, and so having the engineering projects on top of the curriculum that you're learning really helps you to get the hands-on approach so that you can really like take to heart what you're learning versus just taking in information and spitting it back up again.
I think the hands-on learning from the projects is really it's kind of one of the key things that really makes the integrated science and engineering special. Like you can take integrated engineering or integrated science as courses at other schools, but I don't think they really bring them together in the same way and like apply the knowledge.
My sophomore year, I started taking classes at the junior college, and I took Italian 1 and Italian 2 there sophomore year because I really wanted to learn Italian versus Spanish or German or anything else like that. And it was, honestly, my first day of class was really scary. I came into class and I felt like I was the youngest person in there, and I was looking around and I was like, oh, there's all these old people. What's going to happen to me? Like, I've heard about college predators, and this is like, I'm right with them. Like, I don't know what's going on. And but I was completely wrong. The teachers and professors are really accommodating. Like, they realize and acknowledge the fact that you're a high school student, and they don't necessarily make it easier on you just because you're in high school. They expect you to perform as well or better than everyone else. But they really, they don't hold it against you, and they don't target you, and the college students don't even notice that you're there most of the time. They think that you're just one of their peers. In terms of the amount of homework and everything on top of normal school, it can be a little bit rough at times because, it's a college course. You have to keep up with all the coursework. But it's not that bad. It's definitely, if you manage your time well, if you don't procrastinate, and if you're on top of your studying, it's definitely doable. And then I took a Sonoma State class last year. I took a PE class, self-defense, and that was the same sort of thing. It was a lot less welcoming to the idea of a high schooler than the junior college, in that the junior college is used to having a lot of high school students, whereas Sonoma State, we're the only high school kids allowed here. So when I told people I was in high school, they were like, what? You're in high school? No way! And so it was kind of like, not that they were like shooing me away or anything, but it's just it was a completely different sort of experience for both me and the fellow students.
Kind of an opposing standpoint, I came into Tech High, with this plan that I was going to complete all my courses and take all the college courses I could get under my belt before I graduated. And, it kind of ended up really different. Rather than fill my schedule with college courses, I filled it with courses at Tech High. And, there may be like a high expectation that, if you come to Tech High, everyone takes SSU courses. And, they are available, and I definitely think that they're a valid thing to do. And they're definitely worth the investment, but at the same time, you don't have to take college courses if you come to Tech High. Tech High has all of the the requirements that you need to graduate, and some great electives that you can take right here that you don't have to go off campus or even to SSU.
That's one of the things I missed out on by taking the college classes. I missed out on bonding with my classmates in another one of the classes. But on the other hand, I was able to take like art and design and painting and all these other really cool classes at the junior college that we don't have actually offered here. So
I think the important thing about the college courses is that it gives you a level of personalization that you can get from your education that you can't really get other places, because you can take college courses, but at the same time you don't have to.
My favorite course has probably been biotechnology. It's a course that just got started here by one of our teachers, Dr. Immel, and it is probably, definitely my favorite course. We get to look at different organisms and look at their DNA and look at how we can manipulate it, and we get to play with different things. We get to learn basic laboratory procedures that'll be really useful for later on. Like, we learned how to do micropipetting and DNA extraction and polymerase chain reaction and agarose gel electrophoresis and all these other really cool science things that I didn't even know existed. Over the summer, we've had like extracurricular opportunities and community service available through this class. Like the last few summers, we've been running this Wolbachia project, which is where we take the DNA of insects and we look to see if a certain virus is present. And the virus manipulates the DNA of the insects and stuff. It makes them more feminine and eliminates all the males, and it's kind of weird. So we've done that the past few summers, and we've set up this new laboratory across our hall where we have all of our chemistry prep supplies. We have a whole bunch of beakers and weights and scales and hydrometers and all these other really cool things. And it's really amazing that we get to actually use these things. Like, many college students probably would look in there and be like, well, I don't know what half of these things are, and here we are getting to use them every single day.
My favorite course personally was junior engineering, and I think it was my favorite just because the amount of integrated projects that you have junior year really spikes up a level from all of your former years.
Oh, yeah.
There was at least 2 or 3 projects where you combined elements of history and English and science, all for one big project. Like the final project was we had to develop a theme park, and the theme park had to have a specific number of rides, and all these rides had to have different concepts we learned in physics, like circular motion and fluid dynamics and things like that. And then the park also had to, incorporate historical elements for history. And
the theme of the park was like a whole decade.
Yeah,
so.
And the theme of the park was a decade, and for English, we had to write like a theme song for our park.
And we had to look at music that was popular in that day and age. Like my group had the 80s, so we had to look at like Michael Jackson and Blondie and like all that fun stuff. And we got to look at what sort of rhetorical devices the musicians used in their lyrics and in terms of how like their music was styled. And then we took one of their songs and did a parody of it that related it back to the theme park. So ours was like, come on to see the 80s to the tune of Don't You Forget About Me. So.
It really brings you close to not only your science teacher or your English teacher or your history teacher, but you really have to kind of combine all of these things that you're learning in all your classes, and you really get you have to go to your teachers for help, and everyone's really interconnected, and you get to talk to your teachers after school sometimes, and during class, all the teachers are, available for you because class sizes are very small.
If you ever had a problem with a project, or if you had questions, you could show them your rough draft, or if the due dates interfered with each other, you could just ask the teacher, and they'd try to work something out so that there aren't too many interferences, people weren't getting too stressed out, or too many projects going on at once, so you're really able to have everything fit nicely together.
It was all the teachers, talk to each other, and they make sure that you might have a lot of projects due on the same week, but they make sure they're not all on the same day. The thing that I came into this school thinking was like technology high school, they're gonna have all kinds of gadgets and computers, and I'm gonna need to get a laptop, and it's really not the case. A lot of definitely technology is used in all of our projects. Word, Google Docs, I discovered, is a great tool. I've used it on pretty much every project since sophomore year. But we just got a new computer lab refitted, and we got a donation for Chromebooks, and then we also have old Mac laptops that are provided. So I don't have a laptop. I don't have a tablet or anything, technology like that. But because, there's access to that all over Technology High School. And also, as Tech High students, we have access to the library, the SSU library. So I spend a lot of time in the library just because it's a great resource and has a lot of computers.
Yeah. And not only that, most of the projects are group-based, so if you don't have a computer, chances are someone in your group does, and chances are they know how to use it. So like freshman year, when everyone's coming in and nobody really knows what to expect, do you bring your computer to school, do you not? We had the disaster movie project where we had to research a huge disaster, and a natural disaster, and we had to make a documentary about it and talk about the different aspects of the earth, like how the tectonic plates shifted, what happened to the people, how was culture affected, the shifts that had on earth, how it could happen today, all that sort of thing. And we researched that, and I was in a group where only 2 people out of the 4 of us had laptops, but like we only needed those 2 laptops, and we only needed really one of them because you need to like edit the video, and that's about it. So there's a lot of, there are projects like that where it's absolutely necessary for you to have a computer. But if you don't have access to one, or if you have a paper due the next week and you don't have any time to go to the library or print something, your teachers are usually pretty fine with just a nice copy of it written in black pen or something like that. So.
And I think part of the technology thing, it really highlights the interconnectedness of the school. I know for several of my projects, I haven't had a laptop with movie editing software, but I know 2 or 3 people that do have, like iMovie on their Macs, and I can just, call them up and be like, hey, I really need help on this. I need to stitch together a video on your laptop. Can you help me out with this? And more often than not, the friends that you make here, they're perfectly willing to let you come over to their house, or even just stay after school or during lunch, and really fosters like a feeling of, I don't know, family almost, with like your friends and everything in the school. And like Louis said, you know, if you're in a group project, somebody has a laptop, and or you know, somebody that you know is in a group where someone has a laptop, and yeah.
What is student life like?
Student life, it's definitely diverse. It's quirky sometimes, but it's definitely, it's unique to who you are, but it also changes likewise. So we have a lot of access. It's an open campus at our school, so we can go off campus during lunch. We can go to Wolf Den Plaza and go to Quiznos or Honey Sushi, or we can call in pizza or something. We can go to the Commons at Sonoma State. We can go to the new Student Center and eat at the buffet. There's all those sort of opportunities for lunchtime student life, and there's also like the sports programs and everything. I did the basketball team last year, girls basketball, and that was really fun. Like, you really build a community while you're on a team with someone like that when you're working through blood and tears to reach a certain goal, especially athletically. And this year I'm on the wrestling team, and that's about the same thing. The staff definitely trusts us, I think. They give us the benefit of the doubt most of the time, and they don't really...
You're not in any kind of, yeah, you're not in any sort of control. It's really, it's a point of responsibility, and you know, you really have to, maybe not prove yourself, but you have to maintain a certain standard in, you know, you get to class on time if you're going to leave campus, and you know, it's just kind of expected. If you're going to leave campus for lunch, you know, you're going to show up to class on time. And another great thing about student life is the diversity of the clubs that we have access to here at Tech High. You know, I'm on the board of ASB as well as NHS, and ASB this year, the Associated Student Body, is almost a student government. And you know, we've kind of expanded our club creation policy, and it's given birth to at least 10 new clubs just this year that have started, and they all have, you know, solid membership and good leaders and faculty advisors, and it's really led to a more diverse experience and more individualized, right? Because you can be part of clubs that interest you, and you know, not just, you know, and not just the ones that were initially available, right? We have an art club, we have Gay Straight Alliance, we have
the creative writing club, the dance club.
We have an engineering club, so you know, and we have robotics that was before. We have the National Honor Society. We have ASB. So
yeah, it's really nice because if there isn't a class offered at our school, like this year we don't have fine arts offered. If students just tend to like get together and we're like, oh, you're interested in art? I am too, and they start a club, and it's really cool how that happens. Like a few years ago, there was a burrito club where everyone showed up and they ordered burritos, and they just had burritos for lunch. And it's just people who have similar interests are like encouraged to come together here. And like the art club, it started because there wasn't a fine arts class, and here it is now. They're running events at the different, you know, other club events. Like there was the Halloween carnival, and the art club did face painting, and they had like a smoothie contest where everyone made different smoothies, and you compared them and you contrasted them and judged them and stuff. And it's really fun. There's a lot of diversity and stuff.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that speaks to the power of the clubs here is that there was Drama Club last year, and it was one of the really big clubs, and their faculty advisor, Ms. Woods, actually petitioned for drama class as an elective, and that's an elective this year that people can take just because of, you know, the student interest in Drama Club. It was, you know, large enough to, you know, actually create an elective course here. So I think that is really important to, you know, how big clubs are.
Engineering Club played a big role in getting the biotechnology course started here. Our teacher, Dr. Emil, who was the sponsor for Engineering Club, he proposed to have a biotechnology course, and now we have it this year. And Engineering Club, it didn't have a lot of elements of biotechnology infused in it, but we went on a whole bunch of different field trips through it. We actually went to the North Bay Genetics Conference in San Francisco, and not many other high schoolers really get to go to that. It's definitely sort of you have to be in the in club to get in. And we learned a lot about genes and epigenetics and DNA, all the new science that's been going on, the new research. And additionally, like, Engineering Club is really, like, it's teaching us about real life.
I I came personally from a charter school out in Sonoma, and you know, at least from what I hear from my friends in Waldorf, it's almost similar in the way that you learn. It's a little bit more homework intense, but the project-based learning definitely carries over from charter and Waldorf. The same kind of shaping ideas to kind of your own individual interests and things like that, as well as, you know, the practical application of the engineering project is almost kind of similar to the projects that you do in charter and Waldorf schools. Livy?
Following graduation, well, we're in the middle of college applications right now, but I have my heart set on Brown University on the East Coast. I really, really want to go there, and actually I want to study biotechnology. I was inspired by Dr. Emil here in the engineering club in the biotechnology course, and I really want to pursue that through the Brown School of Engineering. I'm hoping to do the 5-year program they have, where the first 4 years you're working towards getting a bachelor's, and then you have a 5th year dedicated just to your master's.
I also am planning on going to college. I'm not quite sure where yet. I have a lot of applications out, and I'm not really going to make a decision until, you know, I get acceptance letters back. So that's important to me. But you know, a lot of our students go on to higher education, even if it's not traditional college. You know, community college, JC. You know, fellowships and things like that. A lot of technology high school students, I would say the majority, go on to some form of higher education, and I think that's really important.
And like the teachers and the staff definitely try to inspire you and support you in wherever you choose to go. Like a lot of them want you to go to college and pursue the higher education, but if that's not for you, then they acknowledge that. There's plenty of people who decided they just want to go to the JC for a few years before going to a big 4-year or 2-year university. And the staff doesn't discriminate against you for that. They don't like put you down. If anything, they lift you up and say, that's a great decision. I'm sure it'll work great for you.
You're really given individual, I guess, care for your plans after high school all through Tech High. When you're a freshman, you know, you have your meeting with the counselor, and you have the same meeting sophomore, junior, and senior year to kind of talk about, you know, how your plans changed, you know, from when you first enter to when you leave high school, because, you know, there are a lot of changes. I know, you know, when I came in, I was all set on, you know, research and biology and all this stuff, and, you know, I'm still set on biology, but I don't know exactly, you know, where I want to take that or what I want to do with that. You know, develop an interest in business or, you know, medical care, and you know, you're given, I guess, almost, you're not forced into anything. You know, they really take into account, you know, what you want to do after high school, and, you know, the counseling staff helps prepare you for that. I would definitely say, if you're thinking about Tech High, it's someplace where everyone here really wants to be here. You don't have to be interested in science specifically to come here, but you should be interested in coming to Tech High. I know there are a lot of people maybe that are applying only because their parents want them to come here. And if you're not really passionate about coming to Tech High, you know, you might want to think of someplace else.
Yeah, you won't get as rich of an experience out of it. Me personally, I'm an artist and I love painting and all that stuff, and it was kind of a turn-off when I was learning that Tech High is so project-based, but there isn't a very strong art program. And I decided to pursue it anyway. I was kind of wishy-washy, and I'm really glad I made this decision. You know, there are the JC classes and the SSU classes if the courses aren't directly offered here. But in terms of the school, it's really an intentional community. Like everyone, as Aiden said, everyone who is here wants to be here.
And kind of the interconnectedness that is provided here, you know, it's not really provided anywhere else. And I definitely think that there are some people maybe that came in thinking it wasn't the place for them, but then at the same time, you know, they stayed and, you know, they found out, hey, you know, I mean, this place is great. And I definitely think, you know, I know quite a few people actually, you know, who came in freshman year like, oh, this is gonna be terrible. It's a school full of, you know, computer geeks, and there's no sports, and, you know, project-based learning. And but then at the same time, you know, you kind of grow into the community here, and you know, and we do have a sports program now, and, you know, there's definitely different social circles, and, you know, it's a much more diverse population than I think a lot of people from the outside don't really understand.